On the 17th of May, we spoke about how Police Scotland plan to spend some £20 million on a fleet of electric vehicles and charging stations. On the 16th of May, we spoke about how Police Scotland had paid out almost £1 million in damages to a former employee who felt a little boo-boo on her fee-fees after being told about 2 women cops shouldn't go out on patrol together and should have a man present. Now, those are just 2 recent examples of how Police Scotland are either wasting or spending the public's money on things that either don't need to be bought or on things that could have easily been avoided. But even though, much like most forces, they are happy to spend money on crap and made up job titles, they are still moaning about how little they actually have in their piggy bank. Sir Iain Livingstone has recently warned that the Scots police force may have to reduce its number of officers as it struggles with its budget, blaming the government, suggesting that policing is not one of the priorities of the recent government spending review. I kind of have to disagree in a way with that. Police are certainly one of the main focuses of the government in their ever-increasing attempts to militarise and politicise them. I suggest that it's the forces individually whose priorities are fucked up. Livingstone even uses the plans to create an all-electric fleet of police vehicles to try and weasel some public support, saying that the lack of funding could affect the introduction of the battery-powered fleet, even though there was fuck all wrong with the combustion engine powered police vehicles, apart from it upset Greta Thunberg and David Attenborough. Livingstone told a meeting of the Scottish Police Authority that he was concerned about the financial pressures facing the force. The position outlined is not the real terms revenue protection that we expected and had been committed. He added that the force had already been forced to make £200 million worth of savings every year. Now, I wonder how much they spend on policing people's feelings or trying to prosecute people for sharing their own opinions in their own homes. Something that Humza Yousaf was particularly keen to introduce in the Scottish Hate Crime Bill, even though he said at the time that the threshold for offences under this bill were very high. We still see people attacking people for their opinions and beliefs. I'm pretty sure that costs a few quid. You know, PCs sitting in front of computers searching for hurty words. How about teaching your staff to be respectful and hiring people who have skin thick enough to do the job that they're employed to do, instead of hiring wet wipes who need a safe space to go and cry when somebody misgenders them? I'm sure you could save a few £1 million in damages claims that way. The police force is blaming the government, but across the country, people's council tax precepts have hit an all-time high, increasing year on year by the maximum allowed by law. And seeing as the police are supposed to be for the people and not the government, it makes me wonder how long it will take for them to turn around and say, right, fuck this, we've all been manipulated to act as the government's standing army and corporation security, whilst completely pissing over the people we're here to actually protect and serve. So with that in mind, fuck the government and their agendas, let's get back to proper policing. I know, but we can dream, can't we? In fact, I dare say that if the police started doing their jobs properly, the public would be happy to pay a bit more for the protection and serving that they are supposed to do. Livingstone said that 86% of revenue spent on it is on officers and staff pay, and said it was important officers and staff were rewarded fairly, particularly when their own household costs are rising. And of course, it's all about them and how they are treated, when they are simply members of the public too, just like the rest of us, but who have a false impression of superiority. In fact, the government piss over our basic human rights every single day, but the police fail to act because of the indoctrination they receive, being made to see the public as the enemy in every single situation. Over the next 5 years, capital funding is anticipated to be £26 million less than required for the fleet, £20 million less than required for the estate, with £20 million required for the digital division as they seek to digitalise policing. And as I've said, if police went back to basic policing instead of trying to criminalise everything that we do in every aspect of our lives, then I dare say that we would have more police and money to do that. But as they all want to rip off the taxpayers and earn more for doing less, this is not going to happen. I'm sick and tired of police moaning about their pay and their budget. Many of the police earn far more than many of the members of the public, and police budgets increase with every year-on-year precept increase, and yet they still cry about not having money in order to justify not attending real crimes. I've said it before, as have many others, the policing system needs tearing down and rebuilding from the ground up. Maybe then we can get a police force that was once again envied the world over, and a police force that was once again respected